Well, thanks a lot, Hot Hawks. You guys blew it for the end of the game. It's too bad it won't be enough for the Tigers to get into the playoffs. This is Sports Hour. Give me a second, I'm trying to fit these things here. All right, this last week was pretty crazy. It came down to the wire to decide who won the game for the Hawks and the Tigers. The Tigers won with the last second shot, and that could have literally locked the Panthers in for number one seed. Luckily, it didn't because the Hawks still have a chance. Panthers are insured at minimum the number 2 seed at this point. Pirates have clinched their division. The Foxes have clinched their division. Every of these teams that were top divisions did clinch this week. Angels are still fighting, trying to get the clinch off this week, but they have not yet proven themselves. Unfortunately, there were also quite a lot of teams that were eliminated this week. And then actually update the team's eliminated list. But unfortunately, every one of these teams is eliminated. There are no teams on the block this week. The fact that 6 and 7 still is a very good chance of actually making the playoffs. And that is a 3 and 10, I think. 3 and 1. The Tigers have a 3 and 10, right? Saints are, they're 3 and 10 as well. They did not win. What's the one this week? They might have. No, Saints won this week. So actually, put it back to the division here. They're 4 and 9. Which put them 1 point ahead. However, that doesn't save them from being eliminated from the playoffs. 4-9 isn't good enough to make it playoffs because there's still at least 4 teams ahead of them that have better records. Dragons are also down here as well. The best record that the Dragons can have, which would be the top team, would be 3 wins to 7 and 9. Every one of the teams in the NBL playoffs right now is already at least 7 and 9. So the Dragons and Saints are on the block this week. They lose this week, they're out. As for all the teams below this, they are eliminated. So it's really going to get close for these first teams here because no team has ensured any position other than the divisions. Knights are still fighting. Knights to play the Panthers twice in the next couple weeks. Unfortunately, that won't give them the division, but they could still make the playoffs. They currently are in a playoff position, and who knows what's going to happen there. On the other side, it's even more difficult to actually have any of these things because we still have the 5 teams eliminated that we had before. These teams up to the Lions here are eliminated for sure. The Dolphins can't win the division. Can they make the playoffs is the question. And that's 3 games behind, so the Dolphins are on the block here. Dolphins and Raiders still remain on the block. They are also joined by the Bengals this week. Bengals have a slightly better record, so they can actually tie and still remain in the playoffs, but they are on the block right now. As for the Westfield, they're technically there. Officially, any of these certain teams could still technically make the playoffs. The Bobcats, UNC, and Tex can all still win the division in their division here. Dolphins can't. Stars will clinch if the Saints lose. If Superman lose. Superman are currently still in a position where they can actually tie. And the ABL West. Let's see if the ABL West can play both their games against the backup, please. Stars. Have they played both their games? If the Stars have won both their games, let me see. We got this is the Stars have played. They only played. It looks like they played once. No, so they only played once, and the Supermen won that game. Guess what? That's the only game they've won. They let the Superman have lost. So actually, as of right now, the Superman still have a chance of making the playoffs. Stars are insured into the playoffs, but they haven't insured anything else. Lynx can still technically win the division, but it would require both the Otters and the Warriors to lose every game up to for the rest of the season. As for the Otters and Warriors, Otters currently have the division, even though the points are higher for the Warriors, because the Otters are 2-0 against the Warriors. The Warriors have lost both times against the Otters. So this is going to be insured. Leland Cats have insured the first seed. That seems really weird. The Leland Cats, let's say the Leland Cats here. If you look at Leland Cats have only 3 games left, and none of them are against anyone in their division. They're all against the other side of the division, and both of them are against. They've already beaten. I'll move the division here so we can really see this. The Jets are the only team that matters, and since they play them once more, it doesn't matter because they've already beaten them at least once, and they can't actually break the record. As for the Otters and Warriors, there's only 2 teams they have to worry about. And looking at the Otters, they don't play the Otters, so that won't hurt them. Werewolves, they've already played them twice. They've won both of the games against them. The only other team that can hurt them is the Stars. So I think it might be actually a little bit off here. It looks to me they play the Stars? Did they win against the Stars? Yeah, they don't play the Stars. So okay, I'm a little bit off on this. It does appear that the Indians have just clinched the division and at least have the third seed. The only two teams that can do it are the Tex, the Stars, and then either one of these two teams. So they could either one could technically do it right now. All right, let's move to last week's games. Last week, I think I was 11-9. Everyone else is pretty much about the same amount. Probably did the best last week, being 12-8, and this is how the records currently work. I am at 171-69, and there's only 2 weeks left, so I'm not going to get a negative factor. But I think the biggest shockers are that the Panthers only beat the Lynx by 4 points. That was pretty good. And I was also very astounded that the Colts won their game. I picked the Bulldogs. I was wrong. Everyone was wrong in that game. Everyone was shocked in that game. Ours and Warriors, this was a pretty big game. I think, honestly, it could have gone either way, and ours did end up coming out with the win. Finally, the Browns demolished the UNC, and I picked the Browns. It was still a mixture up for either way here. This could have been a interesting week for all of these games, and I don't know what's going to happen for next week. Next week, it's week 12. I think it's going to be interesting, though, because the really week that we're going to really worry about is going to be week 15, where the Panthers play the New England Cats. Panthers will play the Knights for this week, and then the week, not next week, but the week after next week, they will battle. And it's going to be interesting. Starting off with Leland Cats and the Dogs. The Leland Cats should absolutely demolish them. Everyone picked the Cats, and I agree. I do not see the Dogs winning this game. I will say the Dogs will probably put up a good fight, but it's not going to be enough of them. Lions and the Tex. This is actually going to be an absolute blowout. There's a way the Tex are going to win. As of right now, if you look at the Tex are 14th and 26th and 14th versus the Lions, who are in the very low ends. There's no chance that the Tex do not win that game. Pirates and Packers, this could end up being one of the toughest games we have for the week. Not the game of the week, but it's it can be very tough. As for the Pirates have the 7th ranked and the 2nd ranked. So they are actually a really high score line. Looking at last week's, the Pirates did demolish the Bears. That was pretty huge. And the Packers did also demolish the Chargers. But the thing is, that wasn't as impressive because the Packers beating the Cardinals is not a big deal. Should be a tough game for me, and honestly, this could be a coin flip for me. Either way, any of these teams could work. Could win this game. Looking at the divisions as of right now, it's going to be very tough for me. The Pirates did clinch this week. I know the Kings have, but the Kings have played their games against them. I have to make sure I'm right about that before we get too far. Let's looking at the Pirates. Pirates have already played the Kings twice. they won both games. They lost and won one, but their total amount actually led them to win the game, which means they actually will clinch the division. But this is going to end up being a tough game for me. I'm going to go with the Pirates here, and this could be, in my end, the most toughest game we're going to have all week. Kings and the Foxes. Kings need to win this week in order to even have a chance of making the playoffs. If they don't, they're probably out of the playoffs. I don't see them doing it. Foxes are probably going to win this game. Looking at Foxes are 4th in both positions versus the Kings. They're 12th, and they have like one of the lowest teams, 36th. Saints and 8th. Saints, while they're already eliminated from the playoffs, pretty much. You're looking at the divisions. Saints are on the block right now. They must win this week in order to stay in the playoffs. Unfortunately, this should not be hard for them to stay in the playoffs. I'm giving the Saints the benefit of the doubt here. Athens are not good. Athens are not good enough to win. They're 17th in offense and 32nd in defense versus 37th in defense versus the Saints, who are 4th in defense, even though they're not as good at offense. I'm going to give the Saints the victory in this one. Legends and the Cardinals should be an absolute easy one. Legends haven't done well. Their only winning game the Cardinals have had has been in week 3 when they played the Tigers. Another really bad team. Don't see it. Legends win this game. All right, Jets and the Bobcats. I could even have said this in a minute. Hold on. This could have easily been the game of the week 2. But the Jets do have the 2nd best offense in the league and even 25th best defense versus the Bulldogs, who have the 7th best defense and the 20th best offense. So this is a very good, interesting battle here. And honestly, I really want to give the Jets the benefit of the doubt here. Unfortunately, I don't see them being able to beat a 7th best defense when they're not exactly in the best position to do that. I'm going to have to give the Bulldogs the benefit of the doubt here, and then they're going to win. Ravens and the Hawks. Oh, jeez. This is a tough one. This is literally the division that we're talking about. Winner of this game, could potentially get the division. Well, not really, because the Foxes have already clinched it. But they are going to be fighting for a position in the playoffs. I honestly think both these teams are going to make the playoffs, and it shouldn't be too difficult since they're both 5th and 6th right now. I'm going to say that both these teams will win. I could easily say this is not even going to be it. This is, in fact, the game of the week. And there's no doubt about this. I have a hard time predicting this one, so I had to look. I'm going to look at the stats for this. Hawks are 5th in defense, 23rd in 5th in offense, and 23rd in defense. As for the Ravens, they're 10th and 13th. These are both pretty even team. I'm going to give the benefit to the doubt of the Hawks. I've been more impressed with them. I'm going to go with them this week. Tigers and the Giants shouldn't be hard to call. Yeah, these are going to be very tough. I'm going to go with the Giants winning this game. I'm not going to talk into much. The Tigers are slightly worse, I'd say. Dogs and the Chargers should be an absolute blowout. Dogs should win this game. UNC and the Werewolves, this is very important for UNC and Werewolves. UNC is 16 points. As for the Werewolves, yeah, they're not even close to the top. Werewolves should absolutely get demolished in this one. UNC wins this one. Bears and Dragons, tough one. Very tough. Bears are pretty bad in defense and not very good in offense. Versus the Dragons, who are very bad in both of them as well. I'm going to give the benefit to the Bears. I'm the only one that's going with them this week. I do not see the Dragons being good enough to win this game. Otters and Indians should be an easy one. Otters should win this game, no doubt. Lightning and Falcons, again, Falcons are just not doing well enough. We'll go with Lightning here. Superman and the Colts. Gosh, should not be hard. Superman win this game. Bobcats and Dolphins, tough one. Bobcats really need this win. Bobcats are 12th in defense and 32nd in offense versus the Dolphins, who are actually pretty close to both of them. I'm going to have to say I'm going to give the benefit to the Dolphins in this game. I think the Dolphins are going to see slightly better. Unfortunately, that's not good for the Bobcats. Bobcats kind of need this win. Stars winning against the Beagles. There's just nothing to go over it. Stars are too good. Warriors. Their Warriors are really good. Warriors are third, but their defense is not so hot. As for the Lynx, they're in a much better position. I'm going to have to give the Lynx the victory this one. Panthers and Knights. Panthers all the way. I mean, there's just no chance the Knights. I honestly think because the Panthers are playing at home, and I want to make sure I'm right about that. Panthers are playing home, correct? I'll have to go to the first to figure that out. Because it'd be... I think they're playing away, actually. I think they're actually playing away, but either way, I think playing there. Where is that happening? Oh, it's happening at Bangor Stadium. So yes, they would be playing home. I'm gonna give Panthers benefit down here. Browns and Angels could be a tough matchup. Either way could win. I'm gonna call this a tie. No, I'm gonna go with the Browns winning this game. They did get a good win last week, and I think they're gonna win this week. That's all for this video episode for Sports Hour. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. We'll have week 15 here, and I'll have the update for each of the next week.